Okay, now that you have validated your course, congratulations. That means you are on to creating your course, which is an awesome second step. Now, before you go about creating your course, first thing that I like to do and I would suggest you do is obviously come up with a course name. Now, we decided to use a dummy topic for this particular course, which was Financial Independence, Retire Early. And that name in itself, if you think about it, says it all, right? What is this course about? It's about financial independence and retiring early. Similarly, you know your niche best. Before this, my other course was, the first course I ever created was called Let's Rock the Hotel. Not very descriptive. Let's Rock the Hotel means what? Is it a rock band at a hotel? The course was about general managers or aspiring general managers to take that course so they can become a general manager. So in retrospect, I could have done a lot of things differently, including the course name. So it's very descriptive, right? So keep that in mind when you're creating your course name, is to make it descriptive. I had read a tweet from Ankur, who is the founder of Teachable, Ankur Nagpal, and he had tweeted that one of his course creators had generated $60,000 by creating a course about Shibari. I had no clue what Shibari was before I googled it, so I suggest you google it too. I don't know if saying it out loud here is against terms and conditions or whatnot, but google it. So it's essentially a rope tying course. So just the name itself is very technical, and people who are into that kind of thing would know that name. Similarly, my next course could be called How to Use Salesforce or How to Become a Salesforce Admin. Very descriptive, where the course title tells you what it's about. So before you go about creating your course, and this doesn't have to be before, you can do it later, but just make sure that your course name is descriptive enough so anyone reading the course name can say right away, okay, this course is about XYZ. The course could be about how to tie a tie, and that could be the whole course, but it should be descriptive enough so I don't have to think, right? There is a really great book called Don't Make Me Think. I forget who the author is. The idea is that don't make your users, your visitors think, do the thinking for them, so they have to do less of it. Now, once you have come up with the course name, it's important to come up with the outline, and you will notice that a lot of these backend platforms, including Udemy, have a hierarchy, and in that hierarchy, they almost have it laid out for you, what's a module and what's a lesson. So let me open a whiteboard app for you. I think it's called Whiteboard AW app. Okay, I'll draw this out for you. I'm using a mouse, so it might not, I don't have a kind of like the digital pen to draw, so it might not come out the best, but I will do my best to explain to you what, oh, I guess this isn't working. Oh, now it is. All right. So the hierarchy usually is something like this. You have your module, this is your module, and within this module you have lessons. So you have lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. And then similarly you create, other modules, and then inside each of these modules you have these lessons. And that's the typical hierarchy for any system that you might be using to publish your courses. And we're going to get to publishing your courses in a few sections where I will share with you what are the different platforms you can use to publish your course. But this is what a typical hierarchy looks like. So you have your module here, right? And then within that module, so this is your module right here, and then within that module you have your lessons. So this would be lesson 1, this can be lesson 2 right here, so on and so forth. How do you decide what to put inside a module and inside a lesson? So I'm going to show you a little sneak peek behind the scenes on how I created this course. Now if I go back into Google Slides, what I like to do is usually a mind mapping exercise. I love Trello. It's free to use. Every tool I mentioned in this course is free. Even though it's free, they might have some sort of paid version attached to it, but I have always used the free version to get things done. I like to use Trello, and I also like to use Coggle, and you can almost use them in juxtaposition to each other. The reason being, I'll show you, Coggle is free. It's called Coggle.it, so Coggle.it, and what it allows you to do is it allows you to just throw your thoughts onto this whiteboard almost thing, and here you can put everything into perspective in a visual way. So here's my course, right? My course is called Zero to Hero. I don't know if I can move this maybe not. So it's called 0 to Hero, and then within this course, let me just make this a little bigger. So here's my course name, and then I'm going to move these here. Here's my course, the main topic of my course, and then under that I have the outline. And how's that outline laid out? So first I have my welcome video. This would almost be like your module. If you're looking here, it would be your module, and then under that module you have your lessons. In my case, the lessons are about me, what's covered in this course, who's it for, and who it's not for. Those are the 4 modules, I mean lessons, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. Then the next module is validating your course idea, and I don't want you to get too hung up with what's a module, what's a lesson. This is just kind of like a broad overarching view of what a course structure looks like. Of course, name it whatever you want to call it that makes sense to you. At the end of the day, your students, all they care about is results. You could literally have one module and have 200 lessons under it, as long as each lesson is descriptive enough in its name, so when your student goes back in to their dashboard area, they're able to easily find something if they're looking for, right? So keep that in mind too, and that's why I like to break it down. Think of it more also from a user experience point of view and a user interface point of view. If you see a book that is 1500 pages, you're going to probably feel a little defeated on page 1, knowing that you have to finish all 1500 pages. But if you're given a book which is only 25-30 pages, and you were told that every time you finish those 30 pages you will get the next book, you don't know how big that next book is going to be, that helps you in finishing that smaller chunk books, right? So same concept here. Keep it bite-sized pieces. Make sure your lessons don't exceed more than 15, 20, 30 minutes, or you might lose your students' focus, their attention, and break it down so it's easily digestible for them and they can kind of navigate easily back and forth between different modules. This is how I like to do it. I'm going to show you one just to give you an example of how it's done. So course outlining is done. The next thing after course outline, and I'll also show you my Trello board. Great app. I've been using this for years. They have a desktop and iPhone, iPad, every version out there. So definitely download it, use it for free. You get 10 or 20 boards, I think, that you can use. So here's my 0 to Course Hero course outline here. And then if I go into my next phase, which is recording your course, how you would translate this in Coggle is I would just add a new line here almost, and then I would call this line. First, I'm going to change the color. So if I right click, I can change the color. Now you can see the outer ring is paid version color. So if I click on any of these colors on the outer ring, I'm going to be asked to upgrade for $5 a month. I don't want to do that. So what I can do is I can right click and use any of these inner circle colors, and that's free. So this one would be called recording your course, and I can just, if I drag this, the font size increases, and then I just hit the plus here to add for however many nodes I have in my Trello board. I have video, audio, screen record, and then background. So I can just copy this, go back here, paste video, audio, screen record, and then this one is background. And now I have this laid out easily for me to look at more visual way than Trello. So Trello is based on lists, and Trello is also a Kanban kind of list view, which means you can drag and drop cards from one place to another. So for example, if I've already finished this, I can maybe drag and drop it here. I can make a new one called finished. I can drag it and drop it here. Trello is great, and I'll put a link to my free Udemy course on how to use Trello. If you haven't used it before, definitely make yourself accustomed to it, so it'll come in really handy. I use Trello for everything. I have my passwords in here. I have my house billing in here, house bills, whatever I pay, I always log them in here. So you can see all my boards that are in here. I have my house bills, my teachable group, everything is in here for me to quickly look at, and because I have the accompanying app, it makes it really easy. So those are the two things I would recommend for you to mind map your course. The final thing is Funnelytics. Funnelytics isn't necessarily for mind mapping, it's more so for visualizing how your funnel looks. And you might have heard this term before, maybe you haven't. A funnel essentially is, just as the name suggests, it's the path that you lead your users from one step to the next. And I'll show you one of my funnels and what it looks like. So let me log into Funnelytics. Let me log out here, and I'm going to quickly show you what this looks like. I think this is my account. Again, Funnelytics is free to use. They would ask you to upgrade to Pro, but all the funnels I have built in here have always been free. And here's one of my funnels that generates a decent amount of passive income for me. And how it works is I have it laid out here where I know that users are coming into my funnel from my blog post. Then I redirect them to my lead magnet. From that lead magnet, I send them to my upsell page. Then from that upsell page, I send them to my shopping cart. And then from that shopping cart, I send them to my thank you cart. Now let's say I want to add another step here. What I can do is I can add a decision node here and say at the shopping cart, they abandoned the shopping cart, right? So then they get added into a sequence. So I can say instead we can call this email sequence, and I'll call it cart abandonment email sequence. And here, I don't know if I can rename this. I've never renamed this little arrow here, which is fine. Now what this does, it helps me visualize what are the steps that my users are taking, and I can see, okay, they go to the shopping cart page, but what happens if they don't pay? Then I put them in the cart abandonment sequence. What happens if they do pay? Then I send them to the thank you page. So this is really good to visualize your funnel, and your funnel might not be as complicated as this. It might just be you have a course, your course is on Udemy, people come and buy, and that's pretty much it. But if you have a complicated, even if it's not complicated, you just want to visually see how your users are entering your funnel, this is a great app to use. Again, it's funnelytics.io. I'll put the link in the description, and it's really easy to use, so definitely check it out. Now that being said, this takes care of outlining your course. Now we move on to actually creating your course. How do you do that? Whether it's video, audio, the background like this background that I'm using, or a green screen, and where can you go to record your video if you don't have the luxury from doing it from home? So stay tuned. I'll see you in the next module.